Did you find Donald Trump's speech to the United Nations, the UN, scary, or did you find it inspiring? Get your calls in now. But this speech lasted an hour, and it was delivered to the world leaders last night. The US president told them that their countries were, and I quote here, going to hell. He declared climate change a hoax, and he criticised those who recognised a Palestinian state. Let's get a bit of a flavour of what he said.
It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. It's climate change. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people. I ended 7 wars, and in all cases they were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed, so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. But you're in a different country. You can't do that. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle, and then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter.
Well, where do we start, Carole? Look, the general gist of it, are you embarrassed by watching that?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. What was his message yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. The message was that the UN is useless. It doesn't work. It's been criticised for years for not doing its job properly. And what was the message to us yesterday? He told AU leaders home truths that they just didn't want to hear. His message was, stop open borders. Stop importing criminals, defend sovereignty, fight against Islamic extremism, defend Christianity, end vastly expensive green policies which have minimal impact but which are damaging the countries in terms of money. And I don't think there's anything there that people would disagree with. I think there'd be tens of millions of people.
I think a lot of people disagree with a lot of what he was saying.
With what? With what? Defend your border, stop your borders?
I'll have a go at that question. Hang on a sec. Let me hold my beer. It is so, I mean, it was hilarious. My jaw was on the floor watching it. It's supposed to be 15 minutes. It was an hour. It was a rambling, nonsensical. It was like watching a baby in a suit. It was madness. And also it was incredibly dangerous. It was divisive, as he always likes to do.
Dangerous?
He said that global warming was a sham. Now, NASA, who know things, and our scientists said the current warming has happened at a rate not seen in the past 10,000 years. It is going up. Climate
Can I just say, he didn't say global warming was a sham. He said the policies around global warming don't work and are too expensive.
Because he's not intelligent enough to be able to do this job properly, the way he communicated it was, if that's what he meant, that's not what came across.
He said climate change is the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world.
Yes, what he means is the way, what he went on to explain. You picked out one line.
He's the president.
He went on to explain what he meant by that.
He needs to be more, he's not intelligent enough to be standing up there saying his message. So, he's also incredibly divisive.
Wrong?
To say that Sadiq Khan wants to impose Sharia law in London is just
what did you make of
lie.
That, Carole?
It's a lie, and it's dangerous.
Do you know how many Sharia courts are in this country?
No.
82.
But does it matter? They have
matters.
no legal binding at all.
You know why it matters? I'm sorry, but it is binding on the communities which it rules.
No, but it's not legally binding.
It's not legally binding. If you're a woman living in a Muslim community and a Sharia law ruling goes against you,
they have no legal authority.
It doesn't matter. Do you really think a Muslim wife is going to go to English law to actually go against a decision her husband has made against her?
Do you really think that Sadiq Khan is going to impose Sharia law in London, which is what Donald Trump said?
Everything he said, the dig at Sharia Khan, it was totally justified because Sadiq Khan has ruined London.
But
he has ruined London.
Incorrect to say that London is going to
impose Sharia law. Is it incorrect to say, the list I just read out, is it incorrect to say, end open borders, stop importing criminals, defend your sovereignty? Yes, it is. You said it was his speech.
No, but
scintillating.
On the Sharia law specifically, that's not true. And it would be dangerous to suggest that Sadiq Khan's considering imposing Sharia law in London.
I think what is happening in this country, Sharia law has been allowed to operate and there is no stop put on it. What it does, this disempowers women.
He's farcical. He says, I should win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, these are the 7 wars that he's...
And he said, he said he's ended one in Egypt. There wasn't a war in Egypt. I mean, he's just a liar.
Okay,
He's
what
a
he
liar.
should have said, was that he has dealt with 7 conflicts, because he has. And some of those conflicts arguably would have turned into wars, like the India and Pakistan one. Do you remember the fear a couple of months ago?
They said about that actually the talks were about between India and Pakistan. They were not. He didn't help at all.
That was the point of view from India. The Indian point of view was that it wasn't due to the president's involvement that peace, that ceasefire occurred. But look,
Israel and Iran, Rwanda and Congo, Thailand and Cambodia, India and Pakistan,
not because of
Egypt
Trump.
and Ethiopia. Yes, he was involved in all of those talks, all of them.
It being involved and solving them is two very different
in Rwanda,
things.
he had let's say in Rwanda he had officials in Washington from Rwanda and the Congo, and together with Qatar, they solved the problem. So yes, he has been involved in all of these things.
And some of them, to a certain degree, it is disputed.
Quite a lot. But
it is
what?
disputed.
His point is he's done more than the UN.
Okay.
That's the point.
Okay,
Who have done nothing.
Let's find out what people are saying at home. Nathan in East Yorkshire. Nathan, welcome to the show. Were you amused, frightened, or screaming along in support when you heard Donald Trump deliver that 1-hour speech at the United Nations?
Hi, Alexa and panel. Thanks so much for taking my call. I really appreciate it. If I could just make one point and then end with a rhetorical question. It is relevant to last night, so just bear with me. I'll be as quick as I can. This entire presidency has been one big ego campaign for Trump. Mm-hmm. He says and does things which grab headlines and he hopes will make historic headlines. For example, he was asked about his friend's death. And he immediately said, yes, very sad. Look behind you. There's my latest achievement. He then went to a aforementioned friend's funeral and spent the entire time talking about himself and how great he is and what he's doing.
You're talking about Charlie Kirk here,
yeah,
so people can...
Just to clarify, yeah. And then to top it off, he went to the UN Assembly, which was exactly the same as the first Assembly, in which he talked about himself, how great he is. But then he added the diversive, everyone who disagrees with anything I say is essentially bad, left is, this, that and the other, branded us, and it's just incoherent waffle. It just goes on so much.
Can I ask you, do you think the UN Assembly is doing a good job around the world?
No, I do agree on that point.
And that's what he pointed out.
But the reason the UN Assembly is inert, for want of a better term, is because Russia holds a Security Council place that it will always be undermined.
But it does nothing. The Assembly does and achieves nothing, and that's what he was trying to point out.
Unfortunately, his ramblings make that point insignificant. He's the president of the United States. He should be a grown-up. He should be able to articulate himself. It was an hour-long rambling. At one point, he started talking about how the building he was in needed refurbishment.
Do you know why? Because in 2000, he offered to refurbish that building for free, and the UN said no, thank you. When he said you're walking on terrazzo, his point on that was he had offered to pay for marble floors and things that worked, and they said no to him.
Thank you, Nathan, for kicking us off. Look, Carole, I think you make a really valid point that there is a discussion to be had about the United Nations. It's an organisation that's been put together at a time where the world was a very different place. Now, look, for many people, they'll say, look, it's a good thing to be able to have one forum where the entire world can sit and communicate with. And there are criticisms there, but don't you think that dressing things up like, for example, he said, I'm enjoying the highest ratings that I've ever had. Looking at the polls, I'm number 1 in the polls. These are his ratings. Let's have a quick look at his net approval. That's when he took office. His net approval is minus 9.4%.
And this is one poll?
No, this is a poll of polls. This is an average of all the polls put up by Net Silver, who's considered a fair pollster. It's just not true that his polling is the best it's ever been.
What is true is that he's bringing currently trillions in revenue into the United States.
Well, again,
to do with America first, he's tariffing the rest of the world, and it's helping America.
But again, you could argue that quite a lot of those trillions are through tariffs, which are being paid for by American people, so it's not really investment coming in.
But by the rest of the world.
It muddles the when he's using facts that are incorrect, it just muddles the rest of the message, perhaps.
Do you really think that Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, doesn't get facts wrong?
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Gets them wrong. That has defined his premiership.
There's a difference between getting facts wrong and just lying.
Well, Keir Starmer lies all of the time.
Let's get back to the callers. Kelvin's in Bristol. Kelvin, welcome to the show. Were you encouraged by what you heard from Trump?
Yes, I was. I'd like to say a big hello to Carole. You're my wife's favourite, Carole. So
hello.
She's listening intently once again.
Why is she not your
yes,
favourite, Kelvin?
She's my favourite as well.
There we go. All right, go on, make your point.
I've been married 40 odd years.
Go on, make your point.
Yeah, I was. I'm very satisfied with what Trump had to say because I feel like his position allows him to say the things that nobody else in this country is able to say and will say.
Like what?
I mean, well, if you're saying about some of the stuff he said was crazy, well, I don't think saying that Europe's policies on immigration are not sustainable. What's wrong with that? It's common sense. If you go to A&E and have a little look at that, which I had to do last year, it's a scary situation. Now,
what's scary situation? Explain that to me. What was scary about your A&E visit?
Well, the fact that you've got an 11-hour wait. You're told that you've got an 11-hour wait. It's bursting at the seams.
I'm sorry, what's that got to do with the immigration point?
Well, because we've got 9 million people come in this country in the last 5 years. Right. It's not sustainable.
But we also have a large proportion of the NHS supported by immigration as well.
But hang on a minute. Yeah. Donald Trump has stopped the immigration at the borders, as far as I'm aware.
He has.
In the last
he has. That's true. He has stopped it pretty much dead. Yeah.
Now, this is only one point. I know it's not the point, but at the end of the day, I don't understand. There has to be something else at play. Yep. I mean, every day I watch TV and every day I hear the same thing over and over and over again. We can't stop this. We can't stop this. We're going to have lawyers talk. One person comes in, one person goes out. Surely, it's quite obvious. These people are in France. The reason they come here is because they're going to be better off. So whatever they get in France, give them here. If you did that, they're not
again. You're Kelvin.
But what he's trying to say is Trump is talking about immigration and saying that it's Europe's biggest problem at the moment.
But let's remind ourselves that the biggest number of immigration in the UK are the people who come here legally on visas. What Kelvin's talking about is asylum seekers. That's about 4% of our take on immigration. I'm going to move on. I know, Carole, I know you've got a lot to say, but I've got to move on to the callers as well. Kelvin, thank you. Scott's in East Ayrshire. Scott, welcome to the show. How did you find Trump's speech? Were you encouraged by it or in despair after it?
Well, I think he's a danger to the world. This convicted felon, insurrectionist, compulsive liar is just unfit. But I think, I could be wrong, I think that's just a distraction for his friendship with Epstein. There's nothing mentioned about Epstein now. It's off the end suddenly, isn't it?
Why would Epstein be mentioned when he's given a UN speech? Why would it be mentioned then?
Why would you talk about the refurbishment of the building you're saying?
I think
because the things didn't work in the building. That's why he talked about that.
Scott, what about the point that we had from Kelvin and that Carole's making, that, for example, on things like immigration, he turned around and said to European countries, unless you put control on your immigration, your countries are going to be, I can't remember exactly the same word, the right words.
Going to hell.
They're going to go to hell. Thank you, Carole. Does he have a point, in your view?
Not really, no. I think the guy is just deranged.
Deranged. OK, I'll leave it there. Scott, not a fan, I think. Yeah. Maggie is in Hampshire. Maggie, welcome to the show. What do you think? Were you encouraged by what you heard by Donald Trump?
No. Actually, Alex, I used to work at the UN, so the stories I could tell you about that place.
OK.
As a secretary there in the radio section, all you see are drunken men sitting in the bars all day trying to chat the secretaries up. I even had the Secretary General trying to chat me up once.
Gosh, okay.
They're just arguing within themselves. They don't do any work. I never did anything. I hardly typed a letter.
So Maggie, Trump was right. Wow. He called it a club for people to just sit around and socialise.
Yeah, years ago he called it a golf club. I couldn't take it anymore. All the things that were going on out in the world, the terrible things that were happening, all they do is push paper around. That's all they do. All they care about is their long holidays, their trips, their pensions. It's the same in the EU, by the way. Yep. And then can I just go on about Khan? Because the ignorance of that man, the way he talks to, especially women, at his...
Who are you talking about? Sadiq Khan?
Mayor Khan, yeah.
Yes,
obviously.
yeah, go on.
Who's turned this London into, well, I can't even say it online. But the way he talks to people, when they ask him questions, he doesn't look them in the face. He defers the question over, especially with the women. And Margaret Healey said, I can't remember her name, the Conservative. He is such an ignorant, rude man. Yeah, he is such an ignorant, rude man.
Right.
But as to the UN, it's definitely it doesn't do anything.
Okay.
And I'm another fan of Carole. And can I just say, can you just ask Yasmin not to keep shouting and arguing the point all the time?
I'll pass the message on, Maggie. Thank you. Just a quick word before you go. Maggie, do you live in London?
No, I did.
Okay.
I did live in
All right.
London.
Thank
but
you.
I live in Hampshire now.
All right. Thanks, Maggie. Thanks a lot. Thank you all for your calls. After the break, we're going to be asking, should the UK boycott Eurovision over Israel's involvement? Don't forget later, what are your thoughts on this? Has your accent ever held you back? The three of us have got quite interesting stories about our accents, but we want to hear yours. Have you ever changed the way you speak because you thought it would affect how people treated you? 0207 862 2222 is the number that you need. See you after the break.